But I think the main things is at the end of the day, volleyball is volleyball. It's in the same 9x9 court, and the rules are the same. So we is that on the back of your shirt?
Yeah, it's on the back of the shirt.
A little free shout out for you. And it doesn't matter who's on the other side of the net. You need to still execute to the best of your ability if you want a chance to win.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of the 9x9, the 81 square meters of the best volleyball content on the internet. My name is Everett Delorme, joined as always by the one and only, the future voice of volleyball, Mr. Rob St. Clair himself, coming in from Chicago. Rob, Merry Christmas. It's not a Happy New Year yet. We're going to have one more show before the Happy New Year, but it is our last show before Christmas. Merry Christmas. How you doing?
Thanks, buddy. Merry Christmas to you. Happy Hanukkah. That Hanukkah started a couple days ago.
It did, yes.
New Year's coming up. We'll have a nice little end-of-year wrap-up show coming up next week because as far as I know, there's really not that much volleyball going on this coming week.
But there was a handful. There was a ton of volleyball going on this past week. And let's just jump right into it. First and foremost, we had the second installment, the other half, if you will, of the Club World Championships with the women's going down this past weekend in Turkey. And it was all revenge for Imoco Conegliano as they come home as the champions. And I mean, hey, it's 2 points for Haak, none for Gonu in the past 2 years. She wins with VakifBank last year, and then she gets the MVP this year with Conegliano. Massive win for Conegliano. And just like that, VakifBank they couldn't be perfect anyways, but that's just another blow to what was expected to be the best team in the world this year.
0 for 2 so far, VakifBank. They win all 5 trophies last year. They go out and get the best player in the world, and now they're 0 for 2 in tournaments so far, which is crazy. But yeah, I got to give Conegliano a ton of credit. I did call it on last week's show.
You did, yeah.
I had a little feeling that Conegliano was going to come out and win this tournament. Isabelle Haak, like you said, wins the MVP again. Very well deserved. She was unbelievable in the 4-set win over VakifBank in the final. I mean,
34 points.
34
points.
34 on 32 for 57 attacking at 474 efficiency. 474 in against what should be the best team in the world. Like that's just gnarly. And her whole tournament numbers are not far behind that, as we'll talk about in just a little bit. But Everett, I think where we should start is, does Isabelle Haak deserve to be part of the conversation for the best player in the world?
I mean, I think at this point it's undeniable. She's won everywhere she's gone. And you can always make that argument that she has everything that she needs around her, but that's, the best players do, but we've seen what she's done with Sweden as well, how they've made late pushes at tournaments like the Euros. Isabelle Haak has been consistently one of the best players in the world the past few years. I mean, you do have to give her she doesn't have the same schedule, let's say, as some of the other teams, with Sweden not being in the VNL and not being in these other major tournaments. So she is a little bit more well-rested, but time and time again, she comes and she delivers, and she just does the job. She has been so good so far this year for Conegliano, and it didn't really seem like they were not in control. And as good as Isabelle Haak is, and as fantastic as she is, I think a lot of the credit also has to go to Joanna Voloj in the setter position, who was absolutely outstanding once again. But Isabelle Haak, if she was playing on a team that even like a Belgium or like a Canada in the VNL, that's kind of a fringe team, she would be much more recognized as one of the best opposites. And you have to be putting her in that same category right now as a Gonu and as a Boskovic.
For sure. I think you really could make the argument for any of the three. And in the conversation like that for those three players, it's especially the way we've been talking about on the show, Everett, you can, like I said, you can make a case for all three of them. It's kind of a what have you done for me lately situation as far as that conversation goes,
really
which is why Tijana Boskovic has really crept up towards the top in that conversation this year with the way she performed at the World Championship for Serbia. But if we're talking about what have you done for me lately, Isabelle Haak just went out and beat the two main challengers, I think, that Conegliano will have this year in Europe. And that's how we were talking about this tournament, the Club World Championship. We have our complaints about the tournament, but it gave us the opportunity to see three of the best teams in the world all play against one another, and they all did play against one another. So Conegliano, obviously, they beat VakifBank in 4 sets in the final, and I mean, 25-18, 23-25, 25-21, 25-21. Like, that's pretty convincing. They also, like we previewed on last week's show, had a huge match against Zaccabacio on Friday in pools, which they also won. I think also 3-1. Yep, also 3-1. And then Zaccabacio had the match in the semis against VakifBank, in which they got 3-donked. VakifBank won that one. So
and that was Zaccabaccio's first loss of the season too. That's a big showdown because
their first 2 losses of the season total, and their first loss
correct.
to another Turkish team.
Yes.
So, I mean, we had it. We had an opportunity for all 3 of the best teams in Europe to all play against each other, which was really cool. And Conegliano came out of this tournament looking like the best team in Europe.
Yeah, absolutely they do. They just run so smoothly. It didn't matter who they had out there, whether it was Plummer, whether it was Alexa Gray, Kelsey Robinson Cook looked fantastic. Like, she looked better than Gabi out there, which is crazy to think when you think about how good Gabi has looked both for Brazil and for VakifBank the past few seasons. Conegliano is just running on such a high cylinder right now, and they're just executing at such a high level. We've already given the credit to Haak. Like, you have the 3 different stages. Like, that final stage, you put in the nail in the coffin is Haak, setting everything up in Volleyball. But I think you have to give so much credit to Santarelli and how he's been leading this team and how he's been leading all his teams. I don't think Guidetti had his time in the spotlight, being the guy, running VakifBank, bringing Turkey up the way he has, but things have been falling apart quickly for Guidetti, and Santarelli is just absolutely on the rise right now. Just another massive performance. You can tell that they're operating on a different level organizationally. Like, it kind of reminds me of like the way like the Golden State Warriors run, or like a prime New England Patriots, where they this is a program that knows how to win, and they're going to do it no matter what.
Yeah, Santarelli, I think we said it recently on a show that he has to be considered the best coach in the world right now, at the 100%. Very least on the women's side. I mean, what
even on the men's side? Okay, maybe Di Giorgi.
Maybe Di Giorgi of the Italian men's team, and
that's a strong.
And he doesn't coach club, which isn't his fault. The Italian Federation won't let him, but his national team success speaks for itself. Anyway, Conegliano walks out of this tournament looking like the best team. Let's talk about the dream team, Everett. Because another major tournament, another joke of a dream team. What are we doing here? First of all, I thought there was always a formula for this.
Guess not. That goes out the window.
I thought that it was 4 players from the winning team, 2 players from the second place team, and 1 player from the third place team. Guess not. No Zaccabacio players at all in the dream team. Only members of the final, which makes honestly no sense. Not a good representation of the tournament. Isabelle Haak MVP, no brainer. Joanna Volosh, best setter, no brainer. Monica De Gennaro, best libero, no brainer. Mm-hmm. Kelsey Robinson and Gabi Guimaraes, best outside hitters. Cool. I'm fine with that one.
100%,
I thought Catherine Plummer had a good tournament, but I think Kelsey Robinson Cook deserves it more. What are we doing in the middle blocker position? Why are we giving it to Zara Gunesh just because she's popular and has over 1 million Instagram followers, and some, not me, but some might call her the best middle blocker in the world? She had 1 point. One point in 4 sets in the finals and hit negative efficiency.
I mean, we know how these things are usually picked. It's usually the dignitaries. And brutal. I'm sure the Turkish, the Turkish Federation had a hand in it. 1 point in 4 sets is absolutely, like, that's just laughable. You could have
even as the middle. Come on,
mate. Like, Robin de Cruyff was probably the best middle in the event for me. But yeah, that was other than Chak Obogo, of course. Like, Obogo deserved that as always.
She's awesome. It's so good to see her. Yeah, to see her play full time, because in the Turkish league she's not able to because they're so handcuffed by foreigners. But in Champions League and in a FFVB event like this, it's great to see Chak Obogo get the minutes she deserves. Even like Marina Lubian for Conegliano is having an awesome season in the middle. She was better than Zara Gunesh. Point in the chat, I totally agree. Sinia Jack, one of the middles from the Zaccabacio, doesn't contribute that much, but she had a better tournament than Zara Gunesh. So get her in there, get the third place team represented. Like, I thought that there was a formula to why we're always so bad as Volleyball World picking dream teams, but turns out even that's not the case, and we still can't get it right for this. It's kind of frustrating.
No, absolutely not. And I mean, we haven't really talked about VakifBank so much in this matchup either.
Let's talk about them.
Where do we start? Like, when do we start pointing fingers? Like, who do we start pointing at? Because, like, even if you look at this picture here, like, this is not a happy team. Guidetti doesn't look happy. You know, Gonu kind of like smiling. She kind of looks checked out. I mean, where's the problem lie? Is it Osbai? Is it Agono needing too much volume? Can they just not handle it? Is it Guidetti and the plan? Because this is not like things are not going as planned. It's been a very, very rocky start so far for this season for VakifBank.
I think it comes from in a couple different places. First and foremost, as we've seen with a lot of Turkish teams, including both of the Turkish teams that played in this Club World Championship and failed to win, the outside hitter position is a problem. And I'm not talking about Gabi Guimaraes because she's awesome. I think she's the best left side in the world. But the second outside hitter position for VakifBank has not been good this year. I think we really underestimated how valuable Michelle Barch-Hackley was to that team the last couple of years. And now without her, you bring in Nika Dalderop, you bring in Kara Bayama. Neither of them are getting it done at the level that they need to for VakifBank. And the same kind of goes for Eczacıbaşı. We know their story of when they've been good, they have had outside hitter support. And in this tournament, they absolutely didn't. It was truly a one-woman show in Tijana Boskovic. Slightly less the case for VakifBank because they have Egonu and Gabi, two of the best, if not the best of the world, of their positions. But I think the setter position needs to start being looked at a little bit more. I don't 100%. Think Cansu Özbay is having the season for VakifBank that she needs to have. I don't really know what it is. Maybe it's still an adjustment period, having Egonu instead of Haak, but I'm not really going to give her the benefit of the doubt for that. I think she expects more of herself to be able to run a better offense than this, and getting one of the best players in the world in to replace another one of the best players in the world. Maybe Egonu needs a bit of a different ball than Haak does. I actually think that she does, but that shouldn't change
drastically different. Yeah.
I don't think that should fundamentally change the way her offense runs. You still have an elite opposite. You still have Gabi. You still have very good middle attackers. There isn't any reason for this VakifBank offense to be fundamentally different than it was last year when they won all 5 of their trophies. And I think that it is. And I think that Özbay might be thinking herself to death maybe a little bit. And VakifBank's offensive system is suffering. I don't know. It's weird to put a finger on, but it's one of the only things that I can point to when you do the math in saying best team in volleyball last year, add the best player in the world, and get worse. Like, that math doesn't make sense unless you have some of the pieces in there not playing up to their potential.
For sure. I would disagree. I think that the presence of Egonu makes a big difference in the offense. I think she needs a different ball. Needs to be a higher ball. You know, maybe it shifts the weight of your offense and how you're especially going to run your middles, how much ball you're going to be running to the left side. And I think she just demands a lot more attention out there. And I think the trajectory of her ball just leads to a different type of offense. Regardless, though, it just hasn't been working. You're right. But at the same time, it's what can VakifBank do in this situation? It's not like they can go out and find themselves another world-class setter, you know, other than Joanna Volaj, who's going to be able to handle it. Like we've seen with Oro with Italy, and they've had the same struggles, right? So something's got to be figure it out at VakifBank real quick, or this is going to be a bit of a wasted season for them.
Well, they've still got plenty of season in front of them. I mean, we're just about to hit the new year, and they've still got the 3 most important trophies of the year still to defend in Turkish Cup, Turkish League, and Champions League. And they're going to be heavy favorites, if not the favorite for every one of those events. But it's weird for them.
Are they the favorite anymore now, though? Like you can't tell me that they've been that they're the favorite.
Maybe not for Champions League. Maybe not for Champions League, but I think that they still will be finalists at the very, very least in both the Turkish competitions. And I think right now, I mean, they pretty cleanly handled Eczacıbaşı in the semifinals of this tournament. I know it was the other way around when they played in the regular season a month or 2 ago, but I think VakifBank's better than Eczacıbaşı right now, and I think they're going to have a better season. But can they win the remaining 3 tournaments? I would not bet on it. I think that they would have to be happy at this point with 1, maybe 2. And Champions League is a huge question mark. That road to defending that tournament is obviously the hardest of them all. I would not bet that VakifBank right now is the best team in that competition.
No, especially if VakifBank comes up, even if they come up with like against a Malonza or a Scandici, right? Like actually, I think Scandici might be in
Scandici's in
the
CV
CEV
Cup or Challenge Cup. Yeah, it would be Novara, but yeah, I don't. Maybe Milano Malonza beats them head to head if they play in like the semifinals or something. I could see that.
Yeah, for sure. Like it's not the definitive that we were expecting this year from VakifBank. We were expecting them just to walk through, and it has not been the case.
Let's talk about Adzadjabasha for a second. Bronze medalist that did beat Gerdau Minas, the Brazilian team, in the bronze medal match in 4. I'm a little bit disappointed on their behalf because it's been a little while since this club has really had a chance to do something huge in international volleyball. I mean, last year they didn't even play Champions League. They're usually, well, obviously one of the top 3 teams in Turkey. Last year they were not, so they didn't get to play Champions League. Now they're back. They've got Boskovic playing as well as she ever has. I think the pieces around her are good enough. She's got Mayon Janovic setting. This was a nice opportunity for Adzadjabasha to make a bigger impact on a bigger stage. And their first 2 losses of the season coming against their 2 main competitors in Europe, and didn't really show out all that well in either one. I mean, the story is what it always is. They don't have more offensive support past Jana Boskovic. They've got to somehow find more consistent production. Hande Baladin's got to be better. Let's see, who's even the other outside hitter? That Voronkova character. Yeah, Irina Voronkova, not good enough. I'm looking at the stats of the semis versus VakifBank. They've got to get more from somewhere, and it was just kind of a disappointing outing for a team that I thought was ready to make a splash.
They just seem to be playing uninspired volleyball. And I don't know if maybe because they haven't been competing at that level for a while, that they were just kind of expecting all of that success that they were having so far in Turkey just to continue at the Club World Championships. And I mean, you're playing essentially at home, so you should. But they came out flat, especially in that Conegliano game in pool play. I was expecting much more of it, and we just didn't get it. So yeah, I think VakifBank Adzadjabasha needs to go back to the drawing board a little bit, and they need to find a little bit of that fire. Because if they want to fight with these 2 top teams, especially, they're going to need to do it. And you know what? I think Fenerbahce. I can't remember if Fenerbahce is in the Champions League.
Yes, they are.
Yeah,
yes,
they are, right? Like I think Fenerbahce is a team that's right there knocking on the door. And I would say, to my opinion, that maybe Fenerbahce is even closer than Malonza right now as that next team up, as those
not a bad take.
Upper echelon teams.
Look forward to January 7th. Adzadjabasha versus Fenerbahce in the Turkish league is their next big match, like the next big match for either one of those teams. So maybe we'll learn a little bit more about that in a couple weeks. Before we move on from the Club World Championship, Everett, I want to throw some numbers out at you and get your thoughts on them. These are the full Club World Championship tournament long statistics for the 3 great opposites, like we've pointed out, Haak, Igonu, and Boskovic. But I'm not going to tell you who's who. In the chat, do this exercise with us as well. I'm going to read you the full tournament stats from the 4 matches of each of the 3 great opposites in the world, and I want you guys to try and guess who's who. All right. Player number 1, 93 points on the tournament, 81 for 157 attacking. That's 369 efficiency, 6 blocks, and 6 aces. Okay. That's player number 1, 369 efficiency.
6
player
blocks,
number
6 aces. All right.
Right. Player number 2 has 95 points on the tournament, 82 for 145 attacking, 448 efficiency, 5 blocks, and 8 aces. So 448 efficiency, 8 aces, and 95 total points is player number 2. And last but not least, player number 3 is 99 points, the most scoring of all the players, 88 for 165 attacking, 424 efficiency, 7 blocks, and 4 aces. So player number 3 had the most points, the most blocks. Player number 2 had the highest efficiency and the most aces. And player number 1 was very good in every category, but not the best in any one. Who do you think Who do you think are players 1, 2, and 3? If you had to guess.
Okay, wait. So 3 had most blocks and most what? Sorry, aces.
Three had most total points, 99 points. Was the middle in terms of efficiency at 424, and the most blocks was 7. Player number 2 was the middle in scoring, highest efficiency at 448, and most aces with 8. And player number 1, lowest total points by a little bit, lowest total efficiency, and in the middle in both blocks and aces.
Okay, I'm gonna go. Number 3 is Haak. Number 1 is Boskovic, and number 2 is Agonu.
You are close. Player number 1 is Paula Egonu. Paula Egonu, 93 points, 369 efficiency, 6 blocks, 6 aces. So lowest efficiency of the 3 belonged to Paula Egonu. Tiana Boskovic was player number 2. She had 95 points, highest efficiency at 448, and the most aces. And Isabelle Haak was player number 3. She had the most total scoring, the 424 efficiency, which was in the middle, and the most blocks. So Paula Egonu, by a slim margin, objectively had the worst tournament of the 3.
That's what I'm saying, man. That connection with Osbaya right now just isn't there, and something needs to be figured out, or her stock's gonna fall real quickly.
Yeah, just really interesting. It's cool that we got to see basically forget those other 3 teams, 2 Brazilian teams and a Kazakh team. Like, forget them. This is basically a 3-team round robin of the best 3 of the best teams in the world and the 3 best opposite players in the world. And it was just cool to kind of see how they stacked up like that. Their numbers were extremely similar overall. All of them in the 90s in scoring and about in the same brackets in every other stat.
It's really too bad that Isabelle Haak isn't playing internationally at the same level. Because imagine if she was playing like for the USA, for example. I mean, that would be. So if you slot her in with Canada, even we would be nice. No offense to Kira Van Rijk, I think she's fantastic, but
I think it's kind of nice for Haak to not play national team in terms of her health, her body, and her mental health, the whole thing. Like the fact that maybe. Imagine a world where an elite level professional volleyball player actually has an off season.
Yeah, she does get that. One of the very few.
One of the very few. All right, I think that's about it for the Club World Championship, right?
Yeah, that is for the Club World Championships. The most tournament in volleyball is also pretty entertaining sometimes.
This was a good one. I enjoyed this one. It was better than the men's tournament for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. The women's is always better than men's, and that's also the case for the thing on the next docket, the NCAA women's volleyball tournament. No doubt about that. That's better than the men's, and big ups to the Texas Longhorns for taking home their 3rd all-time NCAA championship, a massive 3-0 win over Louisville in the finals. That is it was the first in 10 years for Jared Elliott and the Longhorns, and just an absolutely dominant performance by Logan Eggleston, the player of the year, and the rest of the Longhorns. They wanted it, and you could tell.
Well said. It wasn't nearly as dramatic of a Final Four, or especially the championship match in particular being a 3-0. It wasn't nearly as dramatic as last year with Wisconsin winning in 5 the way that they did, but Texas was the best team in the country this year. They had 1 loss all year, which is like a weird 5-setter to Iowa State towards the end of conference season. And they came into the tournament and they destroyed everyone they played. I got to give San Diego credit. They kind of held up the best against them in the semifinal.
They did,
at least taking a set. Nobody could slow down Texas's offense. They had so many weapons. Obviously, Logan Eggleston, the player of the year. Both
Asia O'Neal.
Asia O'Neal might have been my favorite player.
Love that.
She might have been my favorite player this tournament because of the way that she was ripping slide balls like straight down to 8 feet just the whole time, and like one-on-one reading people in the middle as a blocker and ending people's careers. I thought that was cool. Madison Skinner for Texas wins her 2nd national championship for her 2nd different team. Remember when she was a freshman, she played for Kentucky and beat Texas in the championship match, which is pretty wild. So congratulations to Texas. They were the best team in the country. Congrats to Louisville. 2nd place is amazing. They did choke set number 3 away. They were up 24. They were up 24-22.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it should have gone to 4.
For
I
sure.
wanted it. I wanted it to go to 4. I had the sense too that Louisville could definitely get something going. I think Anna De Beer was fantastic for them, especially in that third set. She started that spark, and she's like she's that type of player that I love to watch. She's like a little gritty. And man, Louisville looked like they were going to get it going, but you're absolutely right. They choked it away at the end there, and it was tough to watch. But man, big ups to that Texas team. Big up to Logan Eggleston. And it's going to be interesting to see, Rob, where we start seeing some of these athletes pop up, because some of these fifth years are going to be highly sought after by some of these big teams in Italy and Turkey and across Europe, of course.
Yeah, I thought we were going to have more news on that by today. I'm honestly kind of bummed because I feel like last year it was immediately after the tournament ended that we already knew like 5 players were immediately headed overseas. Maybe it was a week later, but I was expecting a little more buzz around that, and we don't really know very much right now. We heard that Macerata in Italy, one of the worst teams in the league, reached out to one of the NCAA players. We don't know who, but that's kind of about it. Logan Eggleston could help a team in Italy, especially like
100%.
a mid-low tier team or like a German team or a Polish team, or there are teams out there who
Any
would
of those
be
teams,
helped. Yeah, who would be helped significantly by a lot of these NCAA girls who are just finishing up their careers right now. So I'm curious to see where some of them end up. We'll follow along with it the next week or so. Maybe we'll know by next week.
Yeah, absolutely.
A couple other things I wanted to point out before we talk about another embarrassing all-tournament team in terms of how it was selected. So Louisville beats Pitt in the semifinals, right? Crazy
Correct.
5-setter. You're like, okay, you see 3-2, great match, right? It was 15-2 in the 5th set.
Yeah.
I have never seen that in my life. Louisville went up 8-0. 8-0, all on Anna De Beer's serve, and she has one of the nastiest float serves I've ever seen. Which was one of the things.
It
disgusting.
wiggles out
One
there.
of the things that was missing for Louisville in the final, by the way, because De Beer had all those aces against Pitt. I have no idea how many. I should look that up. But she had zero in the final against Texas. They did a great job of getting her off the service line, and we saw what happened to Pitt, completely crumbling on the biggest stage in set 5 of a national championship semifinal. Just could not get her off the service line, ended up losing 15-2. And I thought that was interesting and was one of Louisville's strengths that Texas did a really good job neutralizing the final.
Texas was they were just on a different level, and you could tell that they were ready to execute. What I really liked about Texas's passing too is that it didn't like sacrifice getting aced for going for that perfect pass. If it wasn't there perfectly, they would just let the ball, like just go for that 2 pass instead of trying to go for that perfect 3. And I think that's what really helped, especially with De Beer. Like, she hits that float serve so true, but with so much pace at the same time. It's really coming at you, and that's what caused them the whole problems in the third set. But she was just hitting it hard and causing a lot of problems, but she wasn't getting the aces like she was against Pitt. But yeah, I mean, to me, it's all credit to Texas. Like, you could just tell that they were on another level, and they are just executing like no one else right now.
Good coaching and good high-level serve reception strategy, like you said. Fight it off to the 10-foot line and set your 3 elite level wings that hit the ball higher and harder than anyone else, and your offense is going to be just fine. I totally agree. I think that was a strength of theirs. Can we talk about this stupid all-tournament team?
Yeah, let's dive into it, because
this again.
Once again, you would think, especially for a tournament as extensive as the NCAA tournament, like, how many matches are you playing, that you would give a little bit more credence and a little bit more credit to just anything more than the top 2 teams.
Nope. The Final Four all-tournament team is represented by exactly 2 teams. Only the 2 finalists. No love for anyone from Pittsburgh or San Diego. And now I know, like, the regions, like the individual 16 team tournaments that feed into the Final Four, like, they all named like they're all region teams. Whatever. We can do a better job overall of getting everyone involved here. But even worse than that, I don't even hate the fact so much that there are only 2 teams. I hate the breakdown by positions, right? There is 1 setter. There is 1 middle blocker. There is 1 opposite. There are 4 outside hitters, and there are 0 liberos. What are we doing? How does Zoe Fleck, the best libero in the country, not get recognized for how good she played this tournament? And why are we giving 4 outside, like all 4 starting outside hitters in the final, get on the all-tournament team? It's like a participation trophy.
It to me, it begs the question: who's making these decisions?
Come
Is
on.
it NCAA people? Is it volleyball people? Is the AVCA involved in this? Like, how are these decisions being made? Because if you're a volleyball person and you're out there and you're only throwing up one setter, what are we doing? You're throwing up no liberos? Like,
That's ridiculous,
do,
especially with how
do
important
you
they
wish
are
we
in the
still had
women's
side out
NCAA tournament.
scoring? Is that what's going on? Like, do you want beach to go back to 9x9? Like, grow up. Like the libero was here. Let's start valuing them. Like, they are so instrumental, especially at the NCAA game, especially at the NCAA game where you've got a constant in and out of potentially different back row compatriots with the defensive subs and stuff like that.
So many
You
substitutions.
need
Yeah.
your libero in there. So it's just such a shame that we're not giving any respect to the liberos
Yeah,
out
not
there.
even like a defensive player of the tournament or anything like that. Just no love for the liberos. I hate that. So the full list: Logan Eggleston, most outstanding player from Texas. Texas's setter Sage, who has a ridiculous last name, like a Hawaiian hyphenated last name. I'm honestly not even going to attempt it, but well deserved. She was the best setter in the tournament for sure. Asia O'Neal was the best middle in the tournament for sure, but we need more middles getting love. And then Madison Skinner from Texas, Claire Chaussee, Anna DeBeer from Louisville, and then Aiko Jones, who's Louisville's opposite, gets a nod. At least they actually called her an opposite. One of the things that I hate about NCAA women's is they almost every roster in every NCAA women's game, they just treat the outside hitter and the opposite like the same position, which it is not. Very clearly not the same position. So at least they said opposite on this. But no libero, only one middle, only one setter. We got to do better about this.
Yeah, 100%. And it's just overall, like, we're seeing the popularity of this match. We see how it's sold out, 16,000, like basically 17,000 people in Omaha, and it's been doing that everywhere. I'm sure once the numbers come out from ESPN2 that there is hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people across the United States and even more watching illegally online. Thanks a lot to NCAA. Let us watch. Come on. You got so many internationals. We won't let us watch. But regardless, like, at what point does this tournament start getting a little bit more respect, right? Like, remember that women's volleyball is more watched when it comes to the Big Ten network. Women's volleyball is more watched than women's basketball, and yet it doesn't give it the same level of respect or coverage that women's basketball does. Like, we're not even talking about men's basketball, men's football. Let's just keep it on par with the other women's sports. There's no 1 through 64 seed, right? We have this garbage seeding system for the women's volleyball tournament, and there's just these inconsistencies that it continues to show that there's still that lack of respect within the NCAA, despite the women's volleyball being such a good product for them.
Yeah, women's volleyball is doing great numbers for both the NCAA and for the Big Ten, like you said. And the Big Ten is figuring that out. They're surrounding themselves with more volleyball people, and they're doing more volleyball specific media within the Big Ten conference. I think hopefully the NCAA at their level takes a little more from that and puts more volleyball people on this. I think that's kind of what this tournament needs. You need the oversight of one or two more volleyball people. And then some of these little details are going to get done a little bit better. And I happen to know one or two volleyball people that are on a certain video screen right now here in your living room or all around the world that would be happy and willing to help with some of these details to make it a better product. So call us, NCAA.
Yeah, 100%. I'm Canadian, but I'll do the work for you, regardless. Rob, there's one thing that this isn't in our show notes, and I'm going to spring it on you quickly. This weekend that there was announced, and we talked about it a little bit last week about all the different women's leagues coming up. This weekend it was announced that now Joe Burrow is behind the other league coming up, the Real Pro Volleyball or Pro Real Volleyball.
Volleyball Federation is the name of it. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. They were all over Instagram at the AVCA convention, of course, at the finals. What's up with football guys getting involved with volleyball? I'm not hating on it absolutely at all. I love it. Let's get more scandals like Brett Favre stealing money from the state of Louisiana for volleyball. Why not?
Ridiculous. Yeah.
For sure. But now Joe Burrow's getting involved. You got Kevin Durant in one volleyball. Things are starting to heat up on the women's volleyball side, and I love to see the popularity of this tournament flow into that.
Yeah, this is the kind of an annual conversation that we have about the NCAA women's volleyball tournament. How do we capitalize on how good this tournament is? How does volleyball at large, especially in North America, capitalize on the momentum of this tournament with, like you said, the 16,000 people there and whatever the viewership numbers end up being, and these players going to play professional volleyball almost immediately? Like, how do we capitalize on that? And that changes a little bit every year, and it's never really done as well as we would want it to, obviously. But like you said, it's gaining attention, and it's gaining attention in terms of action from big name people with big bank accounts, more so now than it has before. I mean, now the fact that there are 3 competing professional women's volleyball leagues trying to start up in the States is ridiculous. And it's a good problem to have, because the numbers that NCAA volleyball is putting forward are getting people like Joe Burrow and Kevin Durant to invest in this game. That's awesome. That can only help volleyball at large. And while it's weird that those entities couldn't, like, even before they produce anything on the court, which both League One and Real Pro Volleyball, whatever, have not played a match yet, why they're bothering competing instead of joining up before having even played a match.
No, I disagree with this fully. First and foremost, here's this. There has never been the creation of a serious pro league in North America that hasn't had a competing league that it's eventually swallowed up, right?
It actually is kind of true thinking about the major sports.
If you think about like the beginning of the NHL was created based off of like owners being pushed out, and a group of owners like, okay, well, we're going to create our own league. They started the NHA like back in like the 1900s. The same thing with the MLB. We had the American League and the National League having to come together. We've seen it in football. We've seen it in basketball with the ABA. Every single major sport has had these competing entities, because I've seen it so much in volleyball. Everyone wants to come together, and they all want to sing Kumbaya, and they all want their time to speak, and then nothing ever gets done because everyone doesn't like everyone's feeling gets hurt, and then nothing happens. This way we have like different competing entities, all with budgets, all with monies and bank accounts, and they're going to invest in their product because they believe in it, and they're going to build up the empire, and they're going to start building these things up, and then one of them is going to, amalgamate into another one, and they're going to build it. Like, this is how these things start. And that's why I'm so excited about the fact that we have these different entities all coming out right now.
Yeah. One of them is going to win, and that's good, because hopefully
100%.
they do make each other better. But I'm just curious to see them actually produce volleyball on the court, which so far they have not. Meanwhile, on the men's side, we have a very similar thing happening between this entity right here, the Volleyball League of America, that does have a competitor that is kind of in the same situation with everything, but the Kevin Durant, Joe Burrow level budgets behind it. So hopefully that may the best man win, so to speak, in that one as well.
I feel like it has to come. But like at the end of the day, that if volleyball is going to succeed in this country, women's volleyball has to go first. Right?
Of course it does. Of course it does. Title IX is too much of a barrier, and the lack of a presence at the men's NCAA level cannot be overcome. Nobody knows or cares about men's volleyball in America. They do now kind of know about women's. So let's start there. I agree.
100%. Absolutely. All right.
Let's before we move on to talk about some stuff going on in Europe, Everett. That's a nice sweatshirt you got there.
Yeah, it is a pretty nice sweatshirt. It looks exactly like that sweatshirt right there on the screen.
Interesting.
Right there on the screen, and you're right. The brand new 9x9 squared series is out. It looks great. I love it. It's comfy. It came in today. I'm actually doubling up real quick if you allow me.
He's got the t-shirt on underneath it. Ooh, careful, Everett. You're going to get us flagged on YouTube.
It looks great. It looks great in gray, too. I didn't flash you guys too much, luckily. But, yeah, head over to thatvolleyball.store to pick it up.
Yeah, there's some good stuff over there. Hit up that volleyball.store. The first year anniversary promo is over. You missed it, but the stuff is still there on the store. You should go get some and look as cool as us. Or just Everett in this case.
Yeah, even that, like it says, 9x9 equals 81. Well, what did I say that one time was a 91 square meters?
Yeah, and we've both messed it up before in the past. I mean, math is hard, you guys. Come on.
Math is hard. So is talking.
I don't know. Talking's hard too. I don't know who in their right mind gave me 2 engineering degrees. I can't even count.
Purdue. That's why I'm very questionable about the Boilermakers.
Hey, number 1 team in the country in men's basketball right now.
Hey,
All right.
congratulations.
Thank
Also,
you.
big up to your Packers getting back in the game there.
It's just delaying the inevitable, I believe. Most of my sports teams right now are pretty sad, so we can tell you can make fun of me for that in the Discord if you want. Join the Volleyball Source Discord to get in on all the memes and all of the discussion about volleyball and about how stupid soccer is, but how great that World Cup final
I was
game
going to
was.
say you
It
cannot
was
say
awesome.
that World Cup game was not one of the
It
greatest
was
games
awesome.
you've watched.
It was
ever.
awesome. It was by far the best soccer game I've ever watched, which is an extremely low bar. But good job, soccer.
Good job, soccer.
You produced a good product for once. Let's move on to the best product we have in professional volleyball, the Italian Men's League. There's a segue. This was not a very good weekend in the Italian Men's League. It was pretty lame. We'll go over it kind of quickly. Here's the standings. Perugia's amazing. Yeah, great. They're 13 points ahead of the second place team, which is absurd. Now through 12 matches, which is we're officially everyone's played 11. 11 is halfway through the season, so we're getting to the second half of the year now. Let's also put up what happened this weekend. These are all 5 matches from the weekend. Cisterna beat Milano 3-1. That was kind of notable. And Piacenza beat Verona 3-1. I think those are the only matches we're talking about. Everything else was the 3-dong. Everything else was the better team winning.
Yeah, let's start. I definitely want to start with the Cisterna and Milano one because that one was interesting. First and foremost, Peter Durlich, 30 points in this one. He was an absolute monster. What's it up with the Croatians this year just going off? Him and Sedlacek have both been unreal. Durlich, we have to continue talking about him because he's been lights out for Cisterna. 8 blocks.
Yeah. That is a big number, and 47 swings at a decently high efficiency. Well-deserved MVP, 30 points.
A lot of them on Jean Patrick too. Patrick got blocked 7 times, and the efficiency for Milano in this one is bad, and it's bad too because they have Auguster. They have
Loser and Piano are both back. At least they're both available, and they still don't look good.
Loser played the entire time. Piano came off the bench, but still, Milano 37% as a team in this one. They got blocked 16 times, as we mentioned. 7 for Patrick, 6 for Abadapur. Man, Patrick looked bad, 15 for 44, only 34% hitting. Abadapur looked even worse, 10 for 35, 29% hitting. He looked better in the middle than he did on the outside. Like, what's going on?
I was just about to say, and somebody in the chat just said the same thing. Milano should go back to not having middles. They were playing better. And honestly, they were. As somebody else in the chat says, Milano doesn't have a good go-to guy. That's the thing, is that they should, because I think Jean Patry is a top 5 opposite in the world, but he just cannot figure it out with this Paolo Porro kid setting in the ball. It just doesn't work for them.
Paul Leak just can't get it done. That's what his name translates to in English.
I love when Google translates him. He is Paul Leak, like the vegetable.
But yeah, Paul Leak just not getting it done, and you can tell by this team's offense. It's just trugging along. It just seems like they're working so much harder than they need to be. And I hate to say it, but it almost looks like he's regressed since last year. Like there's times last year that I was like, hey man, I can get on board with this Porro kid. Like I think he's doing a good job, but at this point, I think I'd rather the rookie that Trentino had earlier than Porro because it's not been going well for Milano.
Yeah, I wonder what the future for this Milano team is, because they've got Yuki Ishikawa. He's been their guy for a long time, and they've got a smattering of Italians here and there. But they're really trying to build this program around Paolo Porro at the center position. Like they've really taken a flyer on him for the past 2 years now. I wonder how long they stay on that course, or they go get another Italian or maybe even a foreigner. I think there might have to be a change of organizational tactic there this offseason, maybe.
I just don't think there's that many like quality Italian setters to go around.
There's not
all to be playing, you know. So yeah, I think that they have to switch up their roster a little bit and go out and get a foreign setter if they want to compete. Because like right now, like Milano was a team at times last year where we thought could be, you know, one of the better teams, and so far they have not looked anything like that this year. Of course, not having Tomasz Jejski is a big hole, but Porro's just been looking bad, and their offense just hasn't gotten going. But on the other side, Cisterna looking good. They still don't know what they're going to do from week in, week out, but this is one of their good weeks.
Yeah, this was a good Cisterna week, and that probably means that next week they're going to have a terrible week. They're probably going to lose to Taranto, who they play on Sunday.
Yeah. We'll see how
Monday, actually. Oh, interesting. Yeah, all the Superliga games this weekend are on Monday to give everybody Christmas Day, which is Sunday off. So that's cool. I'm calling Padova versus Lube on Monday. That'll be a very quick three-donging.
Okay, awesome. I won't watch.
Don't. Other match to talk about from this past weekend is Piacenza beating Verona in 4. Otherwise, I think we can skip over this weekend. This match was pretty good. It was definitely competitive. I really thought Verona was going to come back in the 4th set and extend it, but at 24-23, Nomori Keita misses a serve and it's over. This is kind of the Piacenza I was hoping to see most of the year, and once again, Everett, I'm really impressed by Romy Alonso. Cuba's just got so many weapons that aren't setters or liberos.
Yeah. Hey, you don't want to give their libero too much hate. He's not that bad. Setters, Goita, yeah, that's another
Brutal.
thing. But you know, Alonso, that dude is consistently one of the guys that impresses me. I think that's a much different Cuban team if he's 100% healthy at the World Championships. It's a much different.
Totally agree.
If he's there, because like I said, he's the captain. When Simone is around, he's the captain, and you can just tell when you see him around that team. He's just got a big, strong a presence that everyone else can anchor themselves to. So no surprise to me that he's been coming on strong for Piacenza.
Yeah, Piacenza also got good games. They got a really good Yuri Romano game, which has been a little bit rare this season. He's usually making a few too many errors, but 17 for 28 in this one with no balls hit out of bounds. That is a very good sign. Plus 4 aces, so that's exactly what you paid him to do to come over from being Milano's backup to being one of your studs. And Lucarelli, until he got hurt, 7 for 9, pretty good. But he hurt his hand. Lucarelli's had a bad year for injuries, man. I feel bad for the guy.
Yeah, hasn't been looking good for Lucarelli. Just another one to tack it on. But we've seen his time in Italy just be marred with a bunch of different weird stuff. Like it started with the death of his father, and just year after year has been difficult for them. But you know what? This Piacenza team, I know they haven't been the team that we've expected them to be. You know, right from the beginning, we were looking at this roster. You got Pizarro, you got Simone, you got Leal, you got Lucarelli. Like you've got Romano. Like you've got guys on this team. This is going to be a dangerous team down the stretch because I think the biggest problem that they have is coaching. Bernardi's a stooge,
For sure,
right? He's up there with Stoichev. He's up there with Piazza. Why are so many Italian league coaches stooges? I don't know, but. Right, Bernardi's a stooge, but I don't think that's going to stop players of that caliber from getting together and figuring it out. I think it's just going to take them a little bit longer because their coach isn't showing them the path. You know, they got to go and cultivate it themselves and build the path themselves as opposed to their coach laying it down for them. But this is going to be a dangerous team. Like if they're not a top that 4th slot team, whoever has them in the first or second round, like watch out because they are going to be dangerous. Yeah. Because if there's one team you don't want to get hot, it's Piacenza.
Yeah, Piacenza's got the scariest roster on paper of the teams that aren't Perugia, to be honest. And so looking at the standings again, I mean, Lube's behind them by 2 points right now, 5th versus 4th, but Lube's got a match to make up, which, by the way, they play tomorrow. Lube and Siena have a makeup match that they're going to play tomorrow. That should be a 3-0, no problem. So there's a chance that Lube jumps Piacenza and Trentino, and Piacenza's sitting in 5th. By this time tomorrow. That's very possible. But yeah, I'm scared of this Piacenza team, and I think everyone else should be too, because they've had a lot of injury issues that have also inhibited their ability to develop chemistry. And the question in the chat is, Recine been getting on the court? He did once Lucarelli got hurt, and Piacenza looked better once he did, because that's an Italian guy that you can play in the starting lineup, and then you can play both Cuban middles. Because Robert Landy Simone came back in this one from the back issue, and he started the 4th set and looked awesome. So that might be Piacenza's path, is get Francesco Recine starter level minutes to free yourself up with the foreigner thing to play the 2 Cubans in the middle.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that roster is so versatile and it has so much experience that you don't want to mess with it. And I mean, like, look at these standings right now. They could be the second best team in Italy in the next 3 weeks.
But yeah, right? by next show, I mean they're 1 point out of second place. But look who is in second place. That's Modena at 23 points. Piacenza versus Modena head to head this Monday. That is a banger.
Yeah, that is a banger, and I think that's 2 teams who are pretending to be at the top right now. Truly, you know, I don't think that either of these teams have the quality that Trentino does through and through. And the same thing with Lube, right? Like I think Lube is ultimately going to be a better team than both of these teams. So whoever is going to want to pull up into those top 4 teams and put themselves in a better position to make it to the semifinals, they need to win this match. This is going to be a must-win game for both of these teams because like we've passed the halfway mark. Like this past week was the halfway mark of the season. We're now in the return matches. And so, yeah, it's like we're balls to the walls here. And let's go.
It's getting real. There's a big sample size now. We really know what's going on, and it's still absolutely anybody's league other than Perugia because they're the best team by far. But anybody is alive to make the playoffs at this point. Even Siena, they're far from dead. If they somehow beat Lube tomorrow, which won't happen, or if they somehow beat who knows? They've got Perugia this weekend. Poor Siena. I feel bad for them. They fired their coach. They got a nice win, and now they're going to go right back to being the worst team in the league. Talk about Verona a little bit before we move on. They just looked okay, not good enough. It was another opportunity for them to rise to playoff level in terms of another real contender head-to-head, and they just didn't quite get it done. I wish that they could settle upon a lineup that really worked for them and looked like the way that I know it could look. I still want to see more Gord Perrin, man.
I mean, man, you're preaching to the choir. I always want to see more Gord Perrin. You know, it's like a fever, and I got to have more cowbell. But you know what? Well, some guys in the Discord were talking about how Jashki was on a podcast recently, and he talked about the worst coaches he's played for, and Stoichev was amongst them. Like, once again, just straight up buffoonery. There's truly just like an upper generation of volleyball people that just need to let it go, from the administration to clubs to you know, the international stage to coaches. Just let it go. Go be a spectator. We thank you for your service. You've done enough, but like, we want to continue building this mountain, and you're just holding us down here. Like
take off your trench coat, put on like a robe or a bathing suit. And
onesies are really nice. Onesies. You know?
Get the trench coat out of here. Throw it away. Get rid of it, and get some new blood to start doing some things in volleyball. Yeah, I agree. I think Stoichev holds Verona back a little bit, the same way that Bernardi does Piacenza.
Yeah, 100%. We need some new blood in here.
I think that's it for Italy, honestly, because the other 4 matches were not close. They were all 3-0s. Looking ahead to Monday, Piacenza versus Modena is the best match that I see. Trentino versus Verona should be pretty good as well. Why are all those matches at the same time? Come on, man. You're going to make me come
Volleyball. Volleyball.
God, hopefully my Padova versus Lube game that I'm calling will be lightning fast, and I can watch some of the good volleyball once it ends 3-0.
Yeah, I mean, Christmas Eve, have a beer, watch some volleyball. I think that's kind of mint. You can drink. I don't care what time it is. Start drinking. It's Christmas Eve.
It's the day after Christmas. It's Boxing Day, you Canadians. We're talking about Monday the 26th here.
Oh, I have to be on a flight to Arizona that day.
Gross. Well, Arizona's not gross.
No, it shouldn't be.
Hey, do what I did. Remember that one day last year when I think it was Zaxo versus Lube in Champions League, and I was on a plane. I paid for the in-flight Wi-Fi to watch the match. It was totally worth it. You might have to do that tomorrow.
Oh, I don't know. I do have like a sizable layover at the Minneapolis airport, so maybe it'll fall in at that time.
There you go. All right, let's talk about the Italian Women's League. There's not much going on here since we last talked last weekend. Obviously, Conegliano had the week off. They were busy winning a Club World Championship in Turkey. No really good matches that I noticed. No crazy results. But here's the standings for what it's worth. Scandici, Malonza, Novara, competitive there 2 through 4. I don't know. I don't really have any storylines to pull out of this weekend from the Italian Women's League.
By the way, if you're new here and you wonder why we call a team Malonza, I realize
they can't decide what their name is.
Because they can't decide what their name is. So Malonza for the record is Vero Volley Milano, but last year they were Vero Volley Monza.
Their men's team is still Monza. That's the really confusing part, is that this is the same club. Vero Volley Milano on the women's side and Vero Volley Monza on the men's side are the same club. And the only reason that Monza men's is still called Monza is because there's already a Milano and they can't take that. So I think our friend Joe had the great idea to call them Malonza, and we're sticking with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Joe.
Yeah, shout outs. The only match I thought was noteworthy from day 12 as the women's league approaches halfway through the season is Pinerolo, one of the worst teams in the league, beating Casalmaggiore yesterday. It was a Monday match. They beat him in 5. Casalmaggiore did not have Lauren Carlini, but Pinerolo is kind of going to have to win a couple of those weird matches if they don't want to get relegated. Right now they are, let's go back to the standings, still 13th, but they're only a point away from being safe. So that relegation race is probably going to come down to 3 teams, and it's going to be kind of fun to follow along with.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Casalmaggiore, they're one of the teams rumored to be picking up an American. They could definitely be used, and Carlini could definitely use a little bit of a foreign help on that team.
Yeah, they've already got 2. They've got Carlini and Ali Franti. If they got another American pin or maybe even a middle, that team could be pretty darn good. I mean, they're still in playoff position despite losing that match.
Once again, Busto just inching their way back into things, and that's a team that, you know what, I think they're going to start turning things on, especially as Carly Lloyd starts to pick herself up, and that could be another team I think that could be pinpointing an American outside hitter to come join them, because they're definitely missing a little bit of firepower, especially on the left side.
I don't know. I think Busto's kind of set with the 3 outside hitters they have. They got DeGrati and Omaruri is like a young prospect, and then Stigroth, the German girl. I don't know if they. I don't, of all the teams that I think would bring in an American, I don't see it from them. Casalmaggiore is a good one. I think Firenze, putting someone across from Britt Herbots might not be a bad idea. I don't really know much about Cuneo's outside hitter situation. I know they have Danny Drews, the lefty American, not to be confused with Annie Drews, who's about to join Valafolia in the new year. Maybe Cuneo goes and gets someone. I commentated a Perugia game. They have Tori Dilfer setting. Their outside hitter position is a bit of a mess, so maybe they go get someone, try not to get relegated. I don't know. Hopefully this time next week we'll see some Americans moving overseas.
What about Turkey, though? Because you have Exacerbasha, where they have huge holes on the left side, right? Or maybe even VakifBank, where someone needs to slot in beside Gabby. Does like an Eggstone, or does someone fit in there? Or is that too much to ask?
Not for VakifBank. Like, you're not going to bring someone in from the NCAA and have her be better than Nika Daldarup or Karabayama right now.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
Maybe for Zajabasha, but they've got foreigner limit issues. So like they would have to replace Voronkova straight up at outside and still have to play a Turkish outside at best. Like I don't know if I see it there. The Italian league is the most foreigner friendly for sure, unless you go to like Germany or France. So if especially the Italian teams, like the bad teams that are trying to make the playoffs or not get relegated, those are the teams that I'm really looking at to make a move in the middle of the season.
For sure. I mean, we did see Malonza pick up Retke last year, and she did have a bit of an immediate impact, if even though it did fade a little bit. Do we see Malonza just add more riches, or are they done now? They picked up Jordan Larson, and they done.
If they make another move, I'm never watching one of their games again. I'm gonna be so mad.
Okay,
all right.
Fair enough.
There's not much going on. Let me see what the women's schedule is for this weekend and see if there's anything good. Also, all the games are on Monday. Scandici versus Firenze is an okay match.
Mm-hmm.
Malonza versus Busto Arsizio might be an okay match.
That one could be a little spicy if Busto can get it going. You know, that's an opportunity to topple one of the top teams in the league. And if Malonza's having problems with their left side and have Stesiak there and can't figure it out, like that could be something right there. That's definitely an interesting matchup for Busto if they want to get back into the thick of things.
Sure. So hopefully we'll have a little more next week to talk about the Italian Women's League, because this past week there was not that much. Should we talk about Champions League really quick?
Yeah, let's just touch on it quick. Once again, like nothing's really happening, and that's as we see it every single year with these early round matchup games just really don't matter much. Even like the big matchups in pool play just don't matter much, because the two teams usually know that they're moving on.
Right.
Let's do
women's first. Yeah.
A few matches today. Rejov needing 5 sets to take out Vasas of Hungary. And then also another 5-setter with Promote from Ukraine taking down Le Canet from France, going the distance. Navarra, Lodz, Exajabasha all getting 3-0, 3 dongers today to is this week 2 for the Women's Champions League?
This is week 2 for the women. And yeah, I mean, the way that it usually works is you don't get any of the 1 versus 2 sort of matchups until week 3. And so there's still not very many good matches this week. I mean, you can see the rest of them there that are going on tomorrow. maybe Fenerbahce versus Stuttgart. If there's one match that I would even consider watching tomorrow, it's probably that one.
Yeah, 100%. As I said, I think Fenerbahce has an outside chance. Like, if there's going to be one team that can upset, quote unquote, an upper team, I think it might be Fenerbahce. Like, they've got a good roster. I wouldn't even call it an upset. Maybe that's how good they are. But Stuttgart picked up a big win last week, and they're going to want to continue it rolling. And I think I've got a lot of respect for that German Bundesliga. I think they deserve a lot more respect in the general scope of the CEV Champions League.
Yeah, it would be nice to see one make the playoffs and maybe win a game on the women's side. We haven't seen that in a very long time. It's been so dominated by Italy and Turkey and the occasional Russian or even Polish team, but past that, not much. So maybe we'll have something to talk about Champions League next week. I'm guessing not. I'm expecting those 5 matches tomorrow to be won by the favorites. Let's catch up on men's Champions League. We had a week of men's Champions League last week. And so now there are 4 matches through on the men's side with only 2 to play. And now we've got actually some pretty decent clarity about where the pools stand. So last week, we talked about Tuesday's matches. I mean, VakifBank beat Berlin. That match was good. Otherwise, last week, nothing. I commentated Lube versus Tours. It was the quickest hour in a shower in Champions League history. It was such a beatdown. It wasn't even close. No 5-setters, no upsets. So we don't need to talk about the matches, but I do kind of want to talk about the pools, because now that we know the new format of Champions League and we're 4 matches in out of the 6, we're starting to get some clarity on who might be making it out of these pools. So Pool A is Yashemski's pool. The only thing we got to talk about there is, can they get the number 1 overall seed in the bracket? Because if they finish up with perfect points, with 18 points, and if their set record is better than Perugia's, who is probably their main competitor for the number 1 seed overall, if their set record's better than Perugia's and they get the 1 seed, that's going to be big. So take a look at the bracket again. That first ranked overall pool winner up at the top of the screen there gets a pretty juicy first round game. So does the second overall ranked pool winner. So that's probably going to be JW and Perugia, but those 2 are probably going to be racing for the number 1 overall seed in Champions League. Back to the pools, Friedrichshafen is looking like they're going to make it out, and Group A is just not really all that interesting.
No, I mean, if you want to have the conversation about who's going to be first overall, I do. Like, I'm still heavily favoring, Perugia. Like, if you look at, like, Jastrzębski Węgiel, like, still needs to take on Friedrichshafen. Like, Perugia has Ljubljana.
They beat him. Oh, they beat him once. You're right. I guess they have to play him again.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But, like, the competition that JW has in their pool is slightly better, in my opinion, than the competition. Like, overall, Pool E is better because you don't have Montpellier or Novi Sad, but it's not like, Friedrichshafen's better than Ljubljana or Durin or Ankara,
sure.
right?
For sure.
So it's I think Perugia is going to get the first seed overall, but still JW does want to put themselves at the opposite side of the bracket for them. No doubt about it.
And I think that they will regardless. I mean, they're both dead. We'll look at Pool E in a minute, but they're both dead tied in points and set record right now. They're both 12 points, 12-2 in sets. So it'll probably come down to sets or maybe even points, like on 100%. Court points to decide who gets the 1 seed. So that's really the only drama there in Pool A. Lots of drama in Pool B. Zawiercie 3-1, 9 points. VakifBank Ankara 3-1, 8 points, and Berlin 2-2, 5 points. And again, Berlin beat Zawiercie in the previous leg. So this pool is going to end up being really fun. What they're doing is cannibalizing their own seed. So whoever wins this pool is going to have a bad seed as far as pool winners go. But there's a chance that there's that 1 third-ranked third-place team that makes it out of pools. It could come from this pool if Berlin pulls another upset.
100%. And you know what? I'm going to say it right now. I think Bizarzik comes in and wins one.
Really?
I think they steal one.
Like
it's going to be in 5 sets, of course, because they've gone to 5 sets so many times so far. But yeah, like I think that Habar Bizarzik is going to come through and win one. Just to add a wrench into it all.
You're gonna make something crazy. I do like a spoiler team in Champions League. It is fun. Like, I mean, Pazardzik's 0-4. They have no chance of making it out, but they're probably the best 4 seed team in any pool. Maybe like Ljubljana or Durin. Pool E's got some okay teams top to bottom, but Haybar's good, and yeah, of their 4 matches, 2 of them went to 5, so maybe they spoil something. But that's going to be my favorite pool to follow along with, like when Champions League resumes on the men's side in like the second week of January. Once we have 5 matches in the books, it's going to be fascinating doing all the scenarios for like who's going to go where before week 6.
Yeah, absolutely, and we're gonna be getting there real close. Once
Ooh,
we get kicked off again the week of the like 10th, 11th, and 12th of January, so a bit of a break for the Men's Champions League. And once that that 4th or 5th week is done, and they're going to really know what's coming up, and it's going to be interesting to see how certain teams react.
Right.
Heading forward into the
yes, there will be some strategy, to say the least.
might be a bettor's paradise, let's say,
There will be some strategy, to say the least.
on week 6 for the Men's Champions League.
So looking at Group C, Lube is the best team in the pool by far. It's weird that Tours and NAC Roeselare are competing for second. I don't think either of them are that good, but I do think Tours is better. Poor Benfica, they're 0-4 with 2 5-set losses. Whatever, Lube is going to win that pool, and whoever gets second isn't really going to be a factor. Pool D, it's obviously Trentino and Zaxa. They're going to play again in week 6. We'll see if there's some moving around by that point, but honestly, Trentino's probably going to have a lot to play for to improve their seed as a pool winner. Like, they can't just lay down against Zaxa even if they're 5-0 at that point. So that one's going to be fun, but Karlovarsko and Menin are just like non-factors. Don't even worry about them.
Funnily enough, I think Trentino slots in as the number 1 team right now.
They are tied with JW and Perugia in set record, so it would come down to points tiebreaker.
Everyone's 12-2 in sets.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. So Trentino's right there. Of course, they do have a much harder time getting by Zaxa is a little bit more. But hey, it's still up in the air. I think it's going to be one of those 3 teams. Those 3 teams are going to be in at the end, with an outside shot of Lube.
Yeah, Lube dropped that point to Benfica in week 1, so that's really going to hurt them. They're probably going to end up with the 4 seed, maybe the 3 seed overall, which is not bad. But that's just kind of speaks to how the Champions League format works. Last but not least, Pool E, we talked about it. Perugia is the best team in the world, and the other teams, somebody's going to get second in this pool, for better or for worse. Somebody else is going to make it out of this pool. I don't know who it's going to be. They're probably going to get that dead last second place team seed because they're all just destroying each other down there between Ljubljana, Durin, and Bank. So kind of curious about that. Someone's going to make it out. Don't know who it's going to be.
Yeah, big matchup on the 11th between Durin and Bankazi.
Yeah.
You know, Ziraat was supposed to be, in my opinion, was supposed to be that second place team. But if Durin can get the job done against the Turkish squad, that probably knocks them out, as they're sitting in last place in Pool E right now.
Yeah, you definitely can't advance with 4 losses. Even as a third place team, there's probably going to be no way to make it out with 4 losses. So must win from here on out for those teams that are 1 and 3. And then the ranking of the third place teams, that doesn't really mean much yet, but after week 5, it will. We'll look forward to that a lot more as we put some of the scenarios together. So that's it for Champions League. Here's the bracket again. Again, it's new this year. There's 11 teams that make it out. We'll talk about it more as we do some projections in a couple weeks when the men's starts back up again. So yeah, women's tomorrow, not much going on. We'll recap it next week if anything interesting happens.
Cool. All right, let's move. I think Rob, there's only one more thing. Oh no, there's a couple more things to talk about. Before we jump into the Plusliga, I just want to do we want to do Plusliga first or Germany first?
Let's do Germany first.
Let's jump into Germany first, because Friedrichshafen, we talked about them a little bit for Champions League, but man, they are coming on strong. Berlin suffering their first loss of the season. Friedrichshafen getting the job done. Big win in the Bundesliga.
Yeah, this match was a banger too. I watched parts of it and then caught up on highlights. I mean, Michal Superlak is coming on as clearly Hafen's leading scorer and like leading offensive guy. I like what I'm seeing out of them. He's better than he was in Warszawa last year. And some Canadian boys getting a look. Blair Band got a little bit of time in this one. Andre Brown only played 2 sets, which was weird because I thought he looked good. But yeah, I mean, Berlin, we've talked about Berlin. We've talked about that Berlin is fragile. Their outside hitter position is a bit of a mess. Cody Kessel played 5th set only. Ruben Schott was good. Timothy Carl was not. Berlin's just fragile, and it's weird that they're kind of this same team every year where they're at the top of the Bundesliga, and for some reason nobody can beat them despite their weaknesses. But good for Friedrichshafen. I mean, it makes the Bundesliga more competitive.
For me, this is just like another Mark Lebedeau classic, right? Let's just system the crap out of the other team. Because even if you look like offensively, Berlin was better than Friedrichshafen.
Yeah.
Like in terms of numbers and stuff like that. So, but you look 9 blocks for Friedrichshafen. That's pretty damn good.
9 compared to 4. Serving pretty balanced.
5 to 22, 5 to 23. Yeah. Overall, but it's just in those little moments. It's like, especially in a close game like this, I think system does so much, and that's Lebedeau's bread and butter.
Yeah, Lebedeau is. I mean, I think you brought it up the last time we talked about Friedrichshafen. Mark Lebedeau is perfect to take a team with inferior talent and occasionally beat a team better than them.
Mm-hmm.
He'll do that several times a year, both national team and club. But in terms of winning matches you're supposed to win, sometimes his teams are not quite so good at that.
Yep. I mean, hey, we'll see if this continues. I mean, Friedrichshafen had started really, really poorly last year and picked it up.
Right.
Same
they almost won the league. I mean, they very nearly beat Berlin in the finals in that 5-match series.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see if they can do that again. And once again, go check out what they're doing over on Bounce House, because hands down the best broadcast in volleyball right now.
Great broadcast. I would like to watch the Bundesliga more if their matches were a little more competitive. We do have a point in the chat that Lüneburg did advance in the CEV Cup, and Lüneburg next up gets to take on Modena.
Oh yeah, we definitely want to talk about that.
Those are going to be fun matches. I wonder when those are. Let me see if I can figure that out.
That one is definitely going to be fun. There's so much North American content going down on that Lüneburg team.
January 11th. That same week the Champions League comes back is the week of like the 8th finals of CV Cup. So Lüneburg in a 2-match home and away series with Modena is going to be really fun. God, I hope those matches are broadcast. But somehow I feel like the CEV is going to screw that up. I think the 8th finals might be too early, and they might not have streams for that. It's going to be such a shame.
I really hope they do, because that would be such a good game to watch. Like, especially because I've been doing. If you guys haven't checked it out, go check out the latest highlights from the Pan Am Cup, and watching guys like Xander Ketrzinski and Jordan Schnitzer, who are both 2 of those middles on that Lüneburg team, just light it up. Is so much fun. That Lüneburg team is a blast to watch, and they're just threatening right now.
Yeah, they're so fun. Yeah, I can't wait to see them play Modena, if we can see it at all.
Do we dare? Like, is there the realm of a possibility that there's going to be an upset in that one?
I mean, we saw it last year. Modena lost super early to Tours in like the quarterfinals. It's not impossible. Modena has been known to sleepwalk in tournaments like this. It's not impossible.
100%. Like, then we'd see Joe Worsley better than Bruno.
I don't know about that, but I think they've got a pretty nice outside hitter matchup against the Modena's outsides not named Irvin Ingepet. I mean, I think I honestly might take Jordan Ewert over Tommaso Rinaldi straight up. So I'm kind of excited to watch that.
Ooh, really?
What has Tommaso Rinaldi ever done for me?
You're not wrong. Rinaldi is
unbelievably average. So average. So average.
I like how we both use different describers, but for the same one.
Average. All right, let's talk about the Bundesliga before we get out of here, because it's late. This has been a long show. It's been awesome. We got to get out of here, get everyone onto their holiday weekends. Let's talk about the Bundesliga. We want to put more focus on the Bundesliga, but there's so much of it. There's so many teams in such a way that even the players are starting to complain about how many teams there are. It's actually difficult to follow along with it all. But we did just reach the midway point of the year for the Bundesliga, and they do something kind of cool in naming like an all-star team of 7 for the front part of the season. And this, Everett, is how you should do an all-star team. This is actually, I think, the correct picks across the board for the best 7 players in an appropriate breakdown of positions in the Bundesliga for the first half of the year. Finally, somebody did it right.
At the very least, if there's a debate, there's sides on both of the debate. Like if you wanted to have someone out there, I don't necessarily disagree with this at all. Like, maybe you could use like Taylor Averill instead of Kokonowski, but I think that's a stretch. Even to me, this is the team, absolutely. And it's just so well done by the Plus Liga. But diving in, Kovacevic has been having an unreal season.
Yeah, he's awesome.
There's some people in Poland who are thinking that this is one of the best seasons ever by any player, and they're kind of looking at that he can kind of like ask for anything in upcoming contracts. Stephen Boyer has been having a breakout season. Not breakout season because we all know who Stephen Boyer is, but he's having a massive return.
It's the best he's ever played. This is the best he's ever played for sure. And part of why JW is good, considering the injuries that they're dealing with right now in setter and both middles, is because Stefan Boyer has been good and he's been consistent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And of course, Matus Biniak. He's been Skraw's best player, hands down. That's an absolute no-brainer. You probably don't even need to check the stats. The eye test does it for you. TJ DeFalco has continuously been better. Our wonderful researcher Lucas talks about how it looks like the Varsovia is his team and how he's a leader on that team.
God, is that good to hear? Everett, remember when the World Championship ended and the United States lost to Poland in the second round of bracket, and TJ DeFalco had one of the worst matches we've ever seen. He got subbed out for Garrett Mwangatutia. And we were talking on the show after that happened that TJ is going to go to Poland. He's going to play for Varsovia. He's going to be in the spotlight all year long. How is he going to handle that mentally? Boy, is it good. Is it good to hear a comment like our researcher Łukasz said that it seems even like it's TJ DeFalco's team. That is the best piece of feedback I could have possibly heard as an American fan. And watching a couple of Varsovia games, he looks awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
And so does Kokonowski. Well-deserved spot for another Varsovia guy in the middle there.
But I mean, that Varsovia team has been looking really good this season. Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see.
The curse hasn't hit them yet. It's only a matter of time until the classic Varsovia choke happens eventually. But so far it hasn't. They've beaten pretty much everyone they're supposed to beat.
No, yeah, absolutely. And of course, rounding out Miguel Tavares getting the number one top
Portuguese
setter award.
Guy. Really underrated, really underrated setter for Zawiercie. He's part of why that team is good because other than Kovacevic, I wouldn't say that his wing talent is
superb.
It's quite as good. I'm very low on David Konarski. I don't like him at all. I think Kvolek's really good, but
I'm really high on Kvolek, but Konarski is average. Like I'd rate him below Butrin. And isn't Butrin at Varsovia now? No,
Butrin's on Olsztyn, and we'll talk about one of their matches in a second. But yeah, part of the reason why Zawiercie is the first place ranked team in the league right now is because of Miguel Tavares. So I think he deserves a lot of credit. And then part of why Trefl Gdansk is quietly I think what are they, 5th in the standings right now, is because of our boy Luke Perry. Got to give Luke Perry some shout out. The Australian libero, he is the man. He's having an awesome season, and for him to get the nod in this list over guys like Eric Shoji or Pavel Zatorsky
or Popchak,
that's high praise. High praise for Luke Perry, and well deserved.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, the aforementioned Eric Shoji, he does make the second team alongside Taylor Averill.
Averill, Pashitsky, two pretty good middle picks. Janusz, reigning MVP of the league, a good pick at setter. So yeah, there's good. I like the way the Polish league does their media. I mean, Polish volleyball is the only entity that does it right, top to bottom, that I know of consistently, and I just like consuming their stuff. I wish they had English commentary like the Italian league does. That would be awesome.
That would be awesome. Hey, but if you guys are ever looking for English commentators,
we got two guys for you.
We'll even host it.
Sure.
we have a wonderful YouTube channel where we'll host it.
Certainly do.
Yeah.
Let's talk about a couple of Plus Liga matches that have happened since the last show. We talked about Olsztyn a second ago. Olsztyn beat Zaksa. Big win there over the reigning champs. Now Zaksa's struggles are well documented. They've
continued today too.
Yes, they did. We'll talk about that in a second. but Olsztyn's fun and they're good. Kara Butrin is awesome. Taylor Averill's awesome. Josh Tuaninga is awesome. Kara Butrin is so much fun to watch. We saw him at VNL Everett just
we were big fans
murdering
of
balls.
Yeah.
He is one of the funnest arm swings in volleyball. Right?
He's so heavy.
Oh,
awesome. Heavy, and he hits the ball like a freight train. Like I would not want to get in front of a ball that he hits. You can just tell. Like some guys just hit the ball fast with speed. He hits the ball fast with weight.
Absolutely. Yeah, Clay Stanley used to.
100%. Like it's gonna break your platform as you try to pass, and just pull your arms out of your sockets. He just crushes the ball, and I love it.
Yeah, love Butryn. Shout outs to him. We talked about Resovia beating the teams they're supposed to beat. They soundly destroyed Warsaw the other day. And I really thought that Warsaw was going to be better. I thought they had a good offseason. They've dealt with injury problems. Linus Weber has barely played, but they've got to figure it out. They've got Jan Firle now setting. They got rid of Andrea Anastasi. Why isn't this team better than they are?
You know what? This team needs to go back to the OG days. Bring the boys back together. Where's Stefan Antiga? Where's Shawan Vernon Evans? That's the last team. That's the last time this team was good, right? That's the last time for Sava was any good. So, yeah, it's tough to see. Big shout out to Ronnie, who clearly has not been watching the 9x9 this season and went and bet money on Warsaw in this one and was upset when they were getting slaughtered after the first set. It's like, buddy, come on. Yeah, you have your one cameo, thank yourself, and then disappear. Like what's going on? But yeah, these are two teams going in complete opposite directions. And it wasn't long ago when they were in complete opposite directions in the opposite in the other way.
True, yeah. Warsaw was a Champions League team, and Resovia was like the laughing stock of the league, and now very much the other way around.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the highest level match that happened in the Plusliga in the last week was this one. Skra Belkatov narrowly losing to Zavierce, the best team in the league, in 5. This was really good. Just overall good. Nothing really jumps off the page when you look at the stat sheet, but it was just a fun match to watch. Biniak was great for Skra as always. Atanasievich, pretty good, turning back the clock a little bit. 43% efficiency.
That's the thing with this Skra team, is that you've got Bieniak to kind of like anchor them and cement them. And then you've got all of this quality around them in terms of these just older, aging players who may not have the same legs the younger guys do, but they have that quality. And so I always feel that they're going to be able to make things a little bit difficult. If they could pick up, a really dynamic outside hitter, I don't know, like a guy like Taylor Sander or something, that would be really nice. But
weird, man, Taylor Sanders playing for Skra Belkatov, I could never imagine.
No, I could never imagine it. That could definitely not happen. But yeah, like this Skra team is going to be dangerous. I know that they've missed out on the Polish Cup this year, and they weren't one of those top 6 teams. But this is a team that can kind of turn it on, and I think they're going to be more dangerous in matches like this than they are going to be in matches where they're supposed to win.
Yeah, and they'll make the playoffs, and they're playing CV Cup, and they're probably going to be decent to good in both of those things. Zavierce, by the way, in this match, good. I want to give their middle blockers a shout out. Michał Szalaka is like somebody nobody really knows about, and then this Milos Ziniszczo character. I didn't know anything about any of these guys coming into the season. They both look awesome. They're both outplaying Krzysztof Reno right now, and he won everything there was to win with Zaksa the last 2 years, and came over to start, and it hasn't gotten that much court time because these two guys have been really good. So another reason why Zavierce is good, it is not because of David Konarski. He got benched in this match.
Okay, well, there we go. Now it's not because of David Konarski.
I am not high on David Konarski. I never have been since he was, for some reason, wasting space in the Polish national team. Last but not least for the Plusliga is a match that happened earlier today.
Yeah, definitely.
What is going on here? Luke Lublin, who coming into the year we thought was going to be kind of good, if for no other reason than they have 3 Americans, or rather 2 Americans and an NCAA guy, and Dustin Watton, Jeff Jendrick, and Nicolas Sherzhin. But they have no business beating Zaksa. What's going on here?
Man, I don't really know. Simon Romac coming up with 25 points. Nick Sherzhin got 19. He was pretty good on this one, 17 for 32, hit a 38% efficiency. I'm not entirely sure what's happening on the other side. I didn't watch this match, but I did see the Discord blow up about it. They were going off about Kaczmarek. Kaczmarek wasn't his efficiency was pretty bad, only at 25%. Yeah. He was 17 for 40. Śliwka had a banger of a match, was 28 for 50 at a 48% efficiency.
That's the thing, though, is you can't be setting Śliwka 50 balls. If there's anybody on this team that's going to be hitting high volley, it's got to be Kaczmarek, and he's got to be better. Śliwka is not capable of scoring decent efficiency at 50 attempts. It's just not his game.
Yeah, and then after that, you just really have no one. David Smith was all right. He was 7 for 12 for 11 points overall. Patishki
Yeah, Pashitsky. He's the
Shitsky
Ukrainian guy who's been there until Norbert Huber gets healthy, which who the hell knows when that's going to be.
was all right. Like they really need a second outside hitter right now. Does Zaxa, because like this can't happen, right?
Yeah.
This is a team that is the 2-time defending European champions. They've got to figure something out. And there's rumors, Rob, that they may have found their man.
Who is it?
Oh, I thought you were going to jump in there, but
I know who it is. Tell the
yeah.
people who Zaxa might be
Okay.
picking up an outside hitter.
It does look like Zaxa. The rumors are that Zaxa Kecilioğlu will be picking up none other than Bednors, once he's done in China, which honestly would be just such a natural pick. You pick up another Polish guy, you don't have to use up a foreigner spot. So yeah, well, why not Bartosz Bednors coming in for Zaxa?
I love it. I think him or Jeschke would be no-brainers, but especially a Polish guy like Bednors, I think that's exactly
I
the
like
play
Jeschke
style
more.
player that I like him more too. But
like especially because Jeschke's such a big banger. I know Bednors is as well, but Jeschke's just such a big banger. Him beside Slivka, and you've got Kaczmarek on the right side. I think that becomes a legit team. I agree with Bednors as well too, and Bednors has pulled out some of the fantastic seasons, especially with that one with Modena a few years ago.
Jeschke's less error prone, and I like him for that for Zaxa's play style.
Okay.
So
yeah.
We'll see if that works out. But I do like the Bednors rumor. We'll see if we can get that locked in once the Chinese league season ends. But that's what Zaxa needs. They are slipping. They 100%. Are slipping, and they need to go get someone.
Absolutely. Like if not, like do they make it past the first round of Champions League? Like they're going to move on, but do they make it past the first round?
Oh man, that can almost not even think about such a thing.
Like where are they? Okay, they're down there in fourth. 12,
yeah, so they're fourth in the Plus League at 12-5, 34 points, like pretty comfortably. Those top 4 teams are kind of the top 4 are the top 4 for sure, but the movement 1 through 3 is actually pretty interesting. Zawiercie now jumps back into the lead with a match in hand, but JW and Resovia are going to play this week, and they could tie him or leapfrog him at the top, and that's not even talking about the Polish Cup that's coming up next month. So a lot of good stuff going on.
Absolutely. I'm going to be diving in way more the Polish Plus League. We're going to find out we got to find out a more consistent way to watch the matches here, Rob, too.
Yeah, we do. But you can join the Volleyball Swiss Discord, where we can always help you find ways to watch matches or any other information that you need in the whole world, because it is the best online chat community for volleyball in the world by far. We're very, very close to 1,000 members. So if you're watching this show and you're not already in the Discord, you are seriously missing out. It is an awesome resource, and it's extremely fun and entertaining. We like to make fun of people like Ronnie Cuban-Spike a lot. So you want to get in there. The link's in the description.
Yeah, we're looking at we're 35 people away from being at 1,000.
Really close.
Yeah, that's a big one, guys. So make sure you guys, if you don't already, make sure you head over to our Discord. Link should be just down below. Join, be a fan, find your community, talk shit, use the memes. We love it. And then once go and head over to that volleyball.store and pick up all your merch. Honestly, this shirt feels great. It looks great. I'm really happy with how this shirt turned out, to be honest.
Yeah, that's a great looking shirt. I can't wait to get some in. So check out the store, check out the Discord, and check out our show next week. Next Tuesday, we'll be back with kind of a year wrap-up show. It'll be mostly a normal episode. We'll catch up on everything that's going on in the world. But as far as looking at the schedule goes in Europe and stuff, there's actually not that much. So we should be able to take a look back at the year of 2022 that was in volleyball. And I don't know, maybe Volleyball World's going to come out with a terrible top 12 players list again that we can get mad about.
Oh, I hope they do. I think we should also just get a little bit slightly litty. You know?
Yeah, I like that. I think the week between Christmas and New Year's, anything goes.
100%. Yeah. So maybe some red solo cups.
I like that. Okay, I like that. That sounds like a great idea. So everyone, after this video is over, first of all, we've got 24 likes on the video. That's great. Give us a thumbs up really quick before the show ends. Get that up to 40 or 50. That would be amazing if you haven't thumbs up the video already. And also, what should we have them comment after the video is over?
I want you to ask us a question for us. I want to Rob and I are gonna have some drinks on the show next week, and we're gonna answer some of your questions. So I want some of your questions, whether it's about like this season or something, for us to debate.
Yeah, and the first place we're going to go is in the comment section of this video after
100%.
the stream is over. So leave us a comment on anything.
Don't start commenting them now.
Right.
After
Yeah.
the stream is done, I want questions or what you want us to talk about for whether it's recapping this year or looking forward at next year.
Absolutely. Love it. So thanks for watching. It's been a great show. It's been a great year. We'll be back next Tuesday. Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas. We'll be back next Tuesday, same time, same place, and get in one last show before the end of 2022. So, Everett, happy holidays, my friend.
You too. Merry Christmas.
Absolutely. Talk to you people soon. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the Discord.
Peace. See you guys.